If it's in your spirit to say it, just say it.
Let's sit down. Let's have a discussion.
You told me what was wrong with you.
I was so used to being a unit that I don't think I knew what it was like to just be me.
Sometimes the music is praise and worship. Sometimes it's You know, it just depends on what I need at the moment.
Ageless, fearless, and it's unscripted.
The key word is unscripted.
You are here today for my amazing podcast, Ageless, Fearless, and Unscripted. Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Cheryl Polote Williamson, and I am ecstatic to welcome you to Ageless, Fearless, and Unscripted. And you may be asking yourself right now, what is Ageless, Fearless, and Unscripted? I want to share with you that this is something that God placed on my heart. He wanted me to have a safe place for women to come and talk about their dreams and their hopes and not be judged, but to be seen, heard, and felt valued. Why am I qualified to do this? Because I am a motivational speaker, a best-selling author, filmmaker, an encourager, and an empowerer of women. And I am super excited to be here today for Ageless, Fearless, and Unscripted with someone that I value very much and see certainly as ageless, fearless, and truly unscripted. And that is my sister friend, Mrs. Tammy Franklin.
I'm so happy to be here, but I'm sitting here beaming, just watching you. Because you're such a woman's woman. That's one of the things I love about you. And my mom instilled that in me. So I'm just sitting here watching you like, go. Like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited what God is doing through you. You're going to bless so many.
And I am thrilled, my sister, with your yes, because I don't think the audience knows this, but this is our first show, right?
Right.
And you are here with me.
And little old me.
Look, I teach everybody, there's nothing little about my girl, Miss Tammy Franklin. And so I want to jump right in by saying this. When we were at the Mahogany Awards, Mahogany Honors in Atlanta, sister, when you stood up and you took the stage, something you said immediately made me lean in, because it touched my spirit. And I wrote it, but I know it. You said, I am Tammy Renee Collins.
I did.
You own that. Tell me why you made sure that when you went on that stage, that was the first thing that you said.
Well, I recognize for a lot of people, and I'm proud of it, that a lot of people are aware of me, my family, because of my husband's music ministry. And, but I wanted to make it clear. And I don't know, it was something in my spirit that felt like, you know what? Before I was Tammy Renee Franklin, I tell my husband all the time, Lord, you done made me a country western singer with this name. Tammy Renee Franklin sounds so country. And I'm Southern, so. But before I was Tammy Renee Franklin, I was Tammy Renee Collins. And that little girl and what she's gone through has helped inform who Tammy Renee Franklin is. I felt it was just really, really important that a lot of people only see just glimpses of a person's life. And within that moment, as I was sitting there, you know, because we're all nervous, we know we have something to say. And so you're like, oh, Lord Jesus. And you asking the Holy Spirit, come on now, download, please. But I just felt like in that moment, what I wanted to be able to convey is I am more than someone's wife, although I'm proud to be that little man's wife. But Tammy Renee Collins is also who's standing there. And Tammy Renee Collins has gone through a lot. And Tammy Renee Collins, the process in which life took her, whether it was through my own choices, God did make it for good.
Yes, he did.
And that the process in which to get to one's journey, I'm learning that in therapy, I've just entered therapy, probably it's been like 6 months now. We've always implemented it within our marriage, but I had never had it for myself personally.
Yes.
And I am learning so much about how that informs and makes up who we are. When I say that, I'm meaning our childhood. And growing up in a very Pentecostal background, and that was my grandmother and my granddad, a pew baby. So me, which a lot of people they see us and they go, "Oh my gosh, you're such a beautiful family," but they don't know that when Kirk and I married, I had a daughter and he had a son. So for me to get pregnant with a deacon daddy and a deaconess mama in the Baptist church was like scandal. It was scandalous. And so the process in which I went through of coming on the other side of that was hard. It was really, really hard. A lot of the backlash that I got, unfortunately, was from women.
Wow.
It was from women who felt the need to tell me that I should be ashamed of myself, who felt the need to tell me, I was the oldest of 7, how could you do this to your parents? As you know, I'm a freshman at Texas Southern University, and I'm trying to be on the Ocean of Soul, the little marching band. I'm going to be a little dancer. And in that process, life shifted.
Absolutely.
For me. And I went through such a very deep depression and self-doubt. And what I needed from a loving community, and I say a loving community because we are a loving community, but at the same time, that loving community is also informed by hurt and shame and ridicule. And oftentimes when people need love, that loving community often gives back the shame, the hurt, and the ridicule. And I was in such a place of deep depression that we were considering me going to a home for my pregnancy. I had decided, I know even as Christians, there are choices that I could have made. There were choices as a young girl that was really pushed on me to make, but I felt in my spirit that I was going to have this baby.
Yes.
And the home that I was going to go to, they definitely, there was a lot of emphasis on my looks, my background, and we had a meeting about me potentially living there.
Yes.
I was really, really struggling from depression. It's crazy. At 54, it's still hard to even talk about. Struggling from, having a hard time just getting out of bed.
Yes.
You are told that you're such a disappointment, but you already feel that way already. So, let me get this. You got me up here crying already, Cheryl. Jesus.
Well, you know what, sister? We have you. We have you.
So the home, there were girls there that were planning to give their babies up for adoption.
Yes.
And then there were girls there that that was not going to be their journey. They were going to keep their baby. That was going to be me.
Yes.
But it was very obvious that the home had other plans. And so they would, away from my parents, although I was, I guess, legally an adult, I still was, a freshman in college is young.
Right.
So away from my parents, they would say, "You're such a pretty girl." From, you're describing about the father of this child. He's of mixed race. This baby's going to be beautiful and so easily adoptable. And it took me aback, but I began to feel God's presence say, "This isn't going to be the place for you." That they're going to try to talk you into doing something that you don't want to do.
God is amazing.
God is so amazing.
He really is.
And so I called my mom and dad and I said, I don't think this is going to be the place for me. And I mean, they would call me. I was still in my dorm room. They would call me often to say, this baby, you can go on and live your life. But this baby will be easily adopted. It's going to be a beautiful baby. People love beautiful babies.
Tammy, you have pulled me into this story so much that I'm going to tell you, I feel like crying. For those of you who are listening, you need to make sure that you come back, because Tammy and I are going to dig a lot deeper into this, because I'm going to share with Tammy how this moment is full circle and she didn't even know it. In the middle of the pandemic, the Lord laid on my heart to produce a magazine, specifically Cheryl Magazine, Inspiration for the Everyday Woman. And I had every woman telling me every reason that it couldn't happen for me, that nobody was going to purchase it, that nobody was reading magazines, everybody was digital. Well, I'm here to tell you that the power of your thoughts and your mindset can change your life. This magazine is now going into its 4th year, and if you can see it closely, it has Niecy Nash on the cover. So not only are people reading the magazine, they are purchasing the magazine, and major corporations are placing ads in the magazine. What is my message to you? To believe in your dreams, to know that your mindset is your superpower, and that as long as you're breathing, anything and everything is possible. And especially when you are ageless, fearless, and unscripted like me. Glad to be back. Tammy, didn't it get juicy?
It's juicy, it's good,
Yes,
it's real.
and it's truth, right?
You say unfiltered.
And that's what it's all about.
Yes.
We're unscripted, fearless, and we're telling the truth here today.
Yeah.
As two women who unapologetically love God and have stood and sat right here today saying how important therapy is, but sometimes when you talk about therapy at church, people don't want to hear it. And I have to applaud you, my sister, because you said right here, 6 months ago, you started and it's changed your life.
It has absolutely
Let's share,
changed
please.
my life. Like I said, we've always implemented it. I would say we would be poster childs for therapy.
Yes.
We the church fan people, and we would say go to therapy. But I always implemented it for marriage. I hadn't necessarily thought of it for myself.
Yes.
I believe in counsel, spiritual counsel, spiritual guidance. Even as a young girl, sharing my story of what I went through with a teenage pregnancy, going to my pastor was something that I sought. So going to someone for help, for guidance, has always been something that drove me. But going to therapy on my own was not something that I felt like that I personally needed until that little childhood started creeping up, and all of a sudden,
Wow.
I'm having triggers, and and I didn't know that that's what they were called, but I'm having all these things that are coming up for me at 53, 54 years old.
Yes.
And I'm like, what is this? Things that, your parents do the best they can,
Yes.
but they don't know the different messaging that they give you
Yes.
as a child. And then all of a sudden, as a grown, whole woman, that trigger comes back of anxiety. And
Yes.
it's like, why am I feeling all of this anxiety all of a sudden? And it led me to a place of, okay, you say you believe in therapy. I think it's time for you to talk to somebody. That sit your butt down anointing, let me tell you. Let me tell you something. It's powerful. And I'm learning it's God's way of saying, I love you so much that I want you to recognize that you're worthy of being not only healed, but whole completely. A lot of times people heal, but not necessarily in a whole way. They're putting Band-Aids on things, and they didn't go through a process of really, truly healing. I've been telling I did what I needed to do.
Yes.
But what did it take out of you to do what you needed to do? What did you not process? And so in therapy, I have been able to see how my childhood has informed so much of who I am. I needed to rewrite the messaging,
Yes.
set boundaries, even for family.
Yes. Say that part again.
Set boundaries,
Yes.
even for family. When I say family, your mama, your daddy, your children,
Absolutely. Everybody.
everybody.
Yes.
Your husband?
Yes, because when we don't set boundaries, we make time for everybody else's yes, except for our own. And when
We're not even saying yes to ourselves.
because we're doing yes for everybody
Yes,
else,
for
right? Oh, yes, I'll do
everybody
that.
else.
But you know what? I bet in therapy, we realize why we tell people yes, because we go through that period where we want everybody to like us when we don't even like ourselves. And we don't like ourselves, and we telling everybody else yes because we want their yes, their approval to be so much more powerful than ours.
Than our own, yes,
right?
yes.
Oh, this is powerful.
And as an empath, I'm learning, and maybe you've learned this too, that we innately have the ability to meet the need.
Oh, yes.
So it's like, what's the need?
Yes.
It's unconscious.
Yes.
What's the
What do you
need? We
need?
will rise
What can I do?
to the occasions. We are often great organizers.
Yes, we are.
So we're gonna run it. We're going to make it happen.
Yes.
But it's like, but what? As you're meeting the need for others, what's the need for you?
Mm-hmm. And at what cost?
At what cost?
Right? What is it costing you? Because, and I see this in both of us, Tammy. We put everybody else's needs above ours, and it's like we're comfortable taking the leftovers. If I have 15 minutes left, am I right? We take whatever is left. Oh, I just give myself the 15 minutes after I've given everybody else the 2 hours. But the 15 minutes is not enough.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. We deserve the same grace and love that we're pouring out into other people. And I truly believe that as we sit here right now, that we have realized how important, and we want every other woman that may listen to us today to realize how important it is for them to give the other people the 15 minutes and you take the 2 hours because
Absolutely.
we deserve it. You deserve it. And I can see it, I can feel it as we're sitting here talking, that even though it's just been the 6 months in counseling, it's freed you in such a way. Oh, see? Thank you.
Let me tell you,
girl.
There has been such freedom. She gave me a very simple task once, and she said, I want you to do something you enjoy. I'm like, okay, well, I enjoy lots of things. She said, but I don't think you recognize how hard it is for you to make the time just to do something you simply enjoy. I love music. I'd recognized that I hadn't really, they now have music therapy in schools.
Oh, yes.
That is a degree path.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't realized how much although I'm around music all the time, that I wasn't necessarily enjoying it for myself. Baby, I be in my apartment. I have cried.
Yes.
I have danced. There has been at times a scream in me that I didn't know where it came from.
Yes.
But I'm like, there's something deep down that needs to just, and then you feel crazy. And the enemy tries to come in like he does.
Of course. Why are you
and
screaming
say, why are you
like
screaming?
this? Look,
I have
said the same thing.
stood barefoot. Sometimes the music is praise and worship. Sometimes it's It just depends on what I'm needing at the moment. And there have been times in which I just stood barefoot before the Lord crying, whether it be a thank you or I'm hurting and didn't realize that I was, because I'm putting everybody's needs first.
I feel every word.
But let me tell you something. This here therapy done freed some things.
Yes.
But at the same time, I recognize that at 54, there are some habitual things that take time. And it's not overnight. Therapy is a process. Therapy's hard. There are times I get off, whether we do it virtually or in person, and I'm exhausted. And she tells me, okay, I want you not to process for 24 hours. I want you to lay down even though you don't even feel like you need to lay down. I'm like, what? I was raised by a man that said sleep was overrated and you do it in heaven.
Wow.
That's what my daddy said.
You need to make sure that you come back, because Tammy is going to give us some tips and some unscripted advice about what you need to do in order to get your life in order and get the help that you need boldly, fiercely, and unapologetically. Come back in a moment. I don't know about you, but I know this has been life-changing being here with you today. I saw myself, I heard myself, and I want the listeners to walk away with feeling the true essence of you, Tammy, by sharing some tips and tools that you have used in order to be able to sit here right now and boldly share your story in the ageless, fearless, and unscripted way that you have shared today.
Wow. I think the first thing I would say to everybody is that your story is continually being written.
Yes.
I'm going to give you some tools, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I've arrived at using those tools well all the time. Sometimes I'm great at it. Sometimes I'm not. Life brings about you begin to be on a habitual roller coaster.
Yes.
And when you get into therapy, because I'm going to say that, therapy, y'all.
Therapy
and Jesus.
Yes.
It's both and. When you get into therapy, remember it is a process. Remember the things that you love, that you enjoy. There are things that I loved as a little girl that it's now coming back full circle for me.
Yes.
Also remember that you're worth it. Oftentimes as women, we are so used to meeting the need, being the need, that we don't think about what do I need?
Yes.
Y'all, there were times I couldn't even really tell you because I wasn't used to thinking about myself. That wasn't a muscle that I had strengthened. It's scary sometimes at 54.
Yes, it is.
I think that's one of the things. I'm like, sometimes there are things that I ask my mama, hey, how come y'all didn't tell us about, the knees? How come y'all didn't tell us about when you reach over to the bedstand?
Menopause.
All of a sudden it's going to hurt. How come you didn't talk about menopause and the fogginess of thought and all of these things? But they also didn't tell us, and I'm going to tell you, that in your 50s, it is the strange dichotomy of feeling the most confident, but yet at the same time, the most insecure. There are times I feel very bipolar. And I say that very loosely because I don't want anybody to, I don't want to be inappropriate. But there are times my feelings are all over the place.
Yes.
And that's okay too. That is okay to not know. It's okay to not have the answers. It's okay to be on your journey. That's what I want to tell everybody.
Tammy, I know how to get in touch with you, but I want you to share with our listeners how everyone can follow, and share what you're doing, because I already know in my spirit that God has you on a journey that we all are going to be able to grow from, and your amazing show. Everybody needs to know how to follow and be a part of this journey with you. Will you share that with us?
Well, I'm only on one. You can find me one place, and that's Instagram.
Yes, ma'am.
And that is I am Tammy Franklin. I may venture over on some of the other things, but that's all I can handle right now. And then my daughter and I have a show on Sirius XM. It's called In Real Life with Tammy and Carrington, and we just we named it In Real Life for a person. We named it In Real Life for a reason. And that is because we wanted to talk about real life things.
Yes.
Within our, it's going to have a little faith sprinkled on there, a little laughter, the dynamic of having two generations. We talk about things anywhere from imposter syndrome to self-care to fashion. And so we wanted to talk about in real life things. So, it's compelling conversations, but also conversations that make you laugh.
And this dynamic, and we all need to be supporting it, because when we support it, it lets people see many things, that what can be done when a mother and daughter partner together to make something great. And it also lets us see that if Tammy and Carrington can do it, I can do it.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank everybody for being a part of Ageless, Fearless, and Unscripted. It has been a blessing to be here with my amazing sister friend, Mrs. Tammy Franklin, today. You have blessed my spirit, my sister, and I know that you have blessed each and every person who will be a part of this podcast. And I say a part because we want this to be a family environment. So when you come, you feel heard, you feel valued, you feel seen, and know that as long as you're breathing, it's never too late to be great. And that's why we're here today, because we are ageless, fearless, and unscripted.